Okay, HVAC, good, same kind of thing. We're not really gonna cover a lot because the only things that you can really check out are the condenser and the air handler or the furnace, okay? So when we're talking about the condenser, we all know that's what sits outside, okay? And the air handler and the furnace are inside. Filters should be changed every 90 days at the most. I buy cheap filters and do them once a month because the thicker filters, they tend to make the handler run a little bit harder, okay? You just got to change them much more frequently, and it also depends on allergies and things like that that you're talking about.
What is the job of the condenser outside?
That provides, that only comes on for the air conditioning.
That's all I see.
Yeah, that's only for the air conditioning, okay? There are a lot of heat pumps in this area also as well. This is about as far north as you can go with a heat pump, because the heat pump actually draws heat from the outside air. So below about 30 degrees, they're horrible, absolutely horrible. Yeah.
They're only good for AC.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina is really as far north as you should go with a heat pump. But some of the builders put them up here because they're inexpensive. You don't need two separate units. You don't need it's all in one. Yeah, well, so when it gets below 28, it doesn't work anymore, which is.
When they say forced air and heat pump, is that the same thing? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So a couple of things to look for when you're just checking out the condenser.
Yeah.
The cooling fins, okay, once they're damaged, it's actually, they actually do make, there are companies out there that say that they will repair this. They make combs that you can actually, you take the cage off and you can actually kind of straighten them back out. I'm a little bit leery of that. Once those.
What is that, like rotting?
Wouldn't that be a
No, there are aluminum fins that are cooling fins.
A lot of baseballs hit that.
Yeah, I mean, like weed whacker, rocks. I mean, literally, you can go up and just do that, and it bends. Yeah, they're very delicate.
Is that considered too much? I mean, of amount?
At that point, I would start questioning it. Yeah, because it's amazing what it does to the energy efficiency. Okay, it really causes a dramatic drop in the efficiency. Okay, and you can't repair it. You can, but it'll never be the same, okay? And then the next thing that's easy to see, right? Because you can just walk by and look at it. But the next slide, I think, is a dirty condenser that you actually, that has a cover on it, okay? Those fins, they also act as a filter to stop debris and dirt and all kinds of stuff. Very easy to clean. If you see something like that, just get a hose and put it. You don't have to blast it. Do not blast it because it'll damage the fins. Just get a nice kind of bubbling, steady stream and just run it right along the top border, and then work your way down, and the stuff rinses right off.
That's a pretty old one, though, right? That one's that was really old, right?
I don't know.
I've never seen with the bumpies on them before.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's an older version because these are actually cooling coils that run around. But now, if you have the cage, you can see that stuff. You can see the vines growing into it and stuff like that. But the trains and the carriers that have a completely enclosed system, except for the fan and maybe some smaller vents, you really can't see the fins. So it's important that you kind of unscrew it. It's real easy. It just lifts right off, and you can take a look at it and rinse it off. Okay.
And they put those cages around, so that they
protect them.
Yeah.
They're really fragile.
Yeah.
And the salt eats them like.
Oh, I can imagine. Okay, questions? Good?
Nina has one.
I have a question. Can you just talk about brands, like same thing for like hot water heaters and the HVAC? Are there one, because like I've heard like Goodman's horrible, but then some people say it's great.
Goodman's builder grade. Totally, absolutely builder's grade. Yeah, it's inexpensive. I mean, they're okay, but they're not going to last anywhere near as long as a Train or a Carrier or something like that. Again,
is American Standard the same as
middle of the road. It's better than Goodman. Yeah.
It's Train.
Oh,
Yeah, it's. A lot of these, see,
or
American
say,
Standard
yeah.
and Train are built in the same factory.
Right.
And at a certain point, it's almost like,
goes
you know,
down.
Honda and Lexus or whatever the parent.
Toyota.
Acura, Honda and Acura.
Acura.
They're built in the same place, but at a certain point, half of them go this way and get the Goodman components, and half of them go this way and get the Train components. You know what I mean?
The only difference is the label.
Well, no, it's not. That's
No,
not exactly true
Honda
because.
with a little A smush to be inaccurate is a different thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry.
How long do they last?
15 years. You know, again, they might last a little bit longer, but when you start, have them inspected every year. It's worth having a guy come in for $50 and they actually clean out the air handler. They look in there. Mine actually somehow had pieces of paper in it when I bought my house. I don't know how they meeting agendas or something flying around in there.
If you have like a townhouse, and I think they may not have put in a big enough air conditioner or something because the upper level, it's floor level and it's hot, is there any way to correct that?
They should have a damper system where you can control how much gets sent to the third floor, the main floor, and to the basement.
Still kind of weak, it seems.
Absolutely, and the best thing to do is have an HVAC guy go in there, test the horsepower of the motor to make sure it's got the correct amount of feed to it, and test the flow. Because a lot of times we've all seen it, the third floor is boiling hot and the basement's 58 degrees, and then you've got all the ductwork is starting to sweat, so there's drywall damage in the basement, and there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Well, another thing with townhomes is they could have, you could have two dampers that all you have to do is
Yeah.
flip
Right.
them. And-
So there should be a damper system in there.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do, a lot of times there's a return. Everybody knows what a return is, where they suck the air. There's usually one on every floor. Close the one in the basement. Literally take a piece of cardboard, put it over it, because what's happening is you're sucking 58-degree air in there, and it's getting cooled even more, and then that's what a lot of times causes some of the ductwork to sweat. So what we want to do is draw more of the hot air from upstairs out of those rooms, get it cooled, and then shoot it back upstairs.
But I found when I did that then I had more problems with the potential mildew in the basement.
See, it should be the exact opposite. Should be the exact opposite. Unless there's the problem, the main problem with the ductwork in the basement is it's either not sealed correctly. It's not. There are kinks in the tubing, okay, in the ductwork. This literally just happened. My wife runs a property management firm, and one of the tenants, we had to rip down the entire ceiling for that exact reason. It was an ongoing thing. What happened when we pulled everything out, there was no insulation. None of the ductwork was insulated. It wasn't wrapped anywhere, and it was sitting. Actually, it went like this. So what happened was, at the low point, you've got two sections of duct, round duct that meet, and then you've got the good duct tape, the metal duct tape that's sealing it together. Well, they used plastic tape, and it sat like this. So all the water, condensation is going to form inside the duct. There's nothing you can do about that. It's colder inside or warmer inside than the outside air. You've got to give it time, give the air time to evaporate that, okay? But what was happening is there was a 4-foot section, so all this condensation was just, from both sides, was just meeting at this one point, and plastic tape and all that water, it didn't have enough time, the air didn't have enough time to force everything to evaporate.
Another thing you
So-
can do is close the registers in the lower levels
To force everything
force them
upstairs.
away.
You've
Yeah,
got
I tried
to,
everything,
you
but
got
It
to,
might be underpowered, I don't know.
it might be.
Problem.
Have somebody go out and take a look at it. It's worth the $49 that you're going to pay somebody for an evaluation.
Okay.
Just like a home inspector?
Any kind of HVAC company will do that. They're running all kinds of specials all over the place now.
Is the need for a second zone system based on square footage or floor plan or this?
Yes, and comfortability. It's all what you want.
Okay.
I think that all 3-level townhouses should have 2 zones.
How much,
One for upstairs
how
and
much
one.
tonnage for like Is there
Depends
a
on the
amount of square feet?
Depends on the
per-
square foot. I'm not sure exactly what it is off
Okay.
it, but there definitely is a
It's also
chart
based
that
on
the guys.
windows too, and
Yeah, on openings, on square footage, on insulation, R value, and things like that. Yeah, but comfortability too. If you have a house and your upstairs is, I had one client that wanted every bedroom in the house to have its own thermostat, be able to control everything. So we put a split system in. We put a split system in that's all kinds of dampers on it and so Billy sets it to 62, he gets 62. Mary sets it to 74, she gets 74. Yeah, they're expensive. That's
To add like a whole
system.
other, it's just like buying a whole other system. So
Yeah,
you want a
yeah,
second
it's going to
zone,
be
it's just-
smaller. It'll be
Okay.
smaller
It'll be
because
smaller.
typically it's not going to handle, a smaller
Yeah.
square footage. But yeah, you're still talking 8, 10, something like that. Because your typical system, I tell people to have $15,000 in their mind, and depending on what's going on and all that kind of stuff, it's gonna. You can go to 20, you can go to 10.